there's the hawk. Before there was a Tiffany Outdoors, there was Tiffany the Farmer.
Follow U-turn when possible.
No, we're not U-turning.
Hi. Hi, what are you doing? Hi, Boo. What?
This currently is where Joe has her ball python, Monty. I want to change this. I also want to put an aquarium in this space. So I'm going to build a rack that will house all this gobbledygook that's down there, all the supplies and things for Monty, plus stuff for fish. But I want to put a fish tank here also. So I'm going to go outside, build a rack for this area. Alright, I've got my measurements and plans. This would be a design as you go type build. I did watch some videos on how to build a very stable, very secure tank stand. But I'm also incorporating places for lights for Monty, Joe's ball python. So I keep wanting to call him boa constrictor, although I believe, if I'm not mistaken, ball pythons are constrictors, but they're called pythons. So, but anyway, let me hurry up. I've got about an hour of daylight, so this is wintertime hours, y'all. Very little daylight, and it goes fast. All right, I'm going to start off with. I'm starting off with some 2x4s. These are just regular household studs. They are not pressure treated. You don't want to put that kind of stuff in your house because of the chemicals and stuff. You don't want to have that in your house. So let me go ahead and get my tools, get some stuff out, saw. All right, let me go. I'm starting with my base. It's going to be 32 inches wide. Okay, got my base. Now this is going to be 18 inches going this way. So I need to make the legs in between here, the cross braces on each of these is going to be 15 inches long. And when you add these two into the equation, it'd be 18 inches deep. Alright, what I'm doing is I'm using this little piece of scrap wood here, and it's going to be my kind of like my guide to make this into a H shape. So I put this against it, put this up against it. That way I have a little bit of a gap here. Okay, so then I'm gonna put two of the star. These have the star head in it. These screws here, and they're 2.5 inches. I'm only using these because this is what I have on hand. It doesn't specifically have to be this, but I am using 2.5 inch. So I did use countersink bit here. Now I'm going to put the screws in. I'm going to do that all the way around, all four sides. Alright, y'all, it's the next day. Ran out of daylight last night. I made a mistake in my measurements. Okay, so as I was putting together that first section there, I started looking at it. I was like, this thing looks a little small. And come to find out, I did measure it wrong. I needed to make it 39 inches, not the 32 inches. So I made 3. So I made 3 with the appropriate measurements, and these are the right measurements now. Okay, so I made 3 of them. And I cut out the legs that are going to go the whole length. Those are at 65 inches. And then I cut out some braces. Those are going to be, these are 24 inches. And I think I have too many of those, but it's okay. So let's go ahead and start getting this put together. Let me get some tools out and let's get to building. What I'm going to do next is go through and figure out where on these I'm going to put 4 screws here, and I'm going to drill some countersunk holes for the legs. That's going to be the legs that are going to be the whole total height of this whole stand. And I'll be using a scrap piece of 2x4 as a visual background. Now that I've got my 4 holes for the legs on, it's time to attach the legs. And I did this on all 4 sides. I'm going to start at the bottom here. So the leg will go. I've got my pre-drilled holes in there now. And now it's time to attach the legs. My next step is to go ahead and add the supports for the aquarium. Now this is going to need a lot of strength and a lot of, this is going to create a lot of downward tension with the tank, the water, and all the elements that are going to be inside it. So this part you want it to be really strong. So that's where my 24-inch uprights are going to come in. I'm going to go ahead and put those on. I'm going to have those are going to be positioned here. I'm going to put 4 screws in each one, and first thing I got to do is make some pilot holes. First thing I do is line these up and then take a scrap piece of wood and use my square to make sure the lines are pretty straight. Don't have to be exact. And make some marks along here. Move it down a little bit here. And here. And then take this, cut it in, look at it in half about, and then take my square and just draw a line going straight up like so on each one of these. And that way all the holes are pretty much kind of lined up and in the same area. And next, I'll use my quick clamps, clamp them, and screw them down. I'm going to repeat the same thing on the opposite side. Now to put on my first shelf. Then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to drill my 4 pilot holes on the outside edge, put in 4 screws on each side. Y'all think this is the squarest thing I've ever made. Very, very square. Alright. As I build this, it will become clearer and clearer how this is all gonna work. Alright, now it's getting a little too tall for me, so I'm gonna have to put this on the ground. And now, of course, it's really heavy. Oh goodness. Alright, that wasn't too bad. I had to use my brains. I don't always have a second set of hands to help me. Most of the times I don't have anyone to help me. So I have to think of ways to do things that aren't going to hurt me, especially with heavy stuff like this. Alright. I'm so happy about this, y'all. This is coming together quite nicely. Okay, so this bottom part is the base. That's where all the supplies are going to be stored. I can actually put probably 2 shelves in there. It'll be one for Joe and one for me, one for the fish stuff and one for the snake stuff, or whatever. We could just store stuff down there. This first level here, that's where the fish tank is going to be, and then the next level is going to be where Monty will be. My next set of supports need to be 18 inches long, and I have some that I've cut too long, so I'm going to pull my saw back out and cut those down. I'm going to pre-start my screws just to make it a little bit easier when I get ready to put the boards on. Alright, it's square on all four sides. Now to put in the next rack. And then repeat again with the countersunk holes and screws, 4 screws in each side. My next step is to go around and fill in all these screw holes. I have some putty that I'm going to use. I'm going to use this wood filler. Sandable, paintable, stainable, easy cleanup. I filled in all my screw holes, and I'm going to allow this to dry for about 24 hours. And while I was sitting out here looking at this, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to use to wrap this up and make some doors and things. And as it turns out, I actually have enough scrap wood to at least make the shelves. I have enough scrap wood to at least make both shelves inside here, and also I have some 1/4 inch plywood that I can use to wrap this up. And then I got to figure out what to do for doors. I may have to go buy another piece, a thicker piece, 3/4 inch plywood for the doors, and also some hinges. So yes, lucky find. And that scrap 3/4 inch plywood I have, it fits perfectly front to back. I just have to cut a little piece here, and then I'm just going to put some screws in down like that, and then I'm going to cut the pieces for the back and the sides. And that's just for the cabinet part of this. And as I'm looking at this, and I've made some measurements kind of wrong. Not wrong, but I could have done better with my measurements. But it's my first rack, so I mean, it's going to serve its purpose. It's going to do well for what I want it to do. I just wish that I had planned it a lot better than I did. But anyway, alright, here we go. And you guys will see this storage space is huge. It's just way too big. Way too big. But it's what I got, so I'm going to use it. What I'll do to make use of all of this space here is put some shelves in there. Since this bottom shelf is well supported, I don't have to put as many screws in, so I'm going to put just 4 screws in each board, and I'm going to pre-drill some pilot holes and countersink them also. I'm going to put those down. I'm just going to be using these 1.5 inch wood screws. The next step is the back. So I have my board. I'm going to make my marks. Please let this be tall enough. Oh, y'all, this couldn't have been more perfect. This is a piece of scrap lumber I had. Perfect. Y'all, that couldn't have been more perfect. Alright, I'm going to take my circular saw and cut that out. Since this wood is really thin, I'm just going to be using these 1-inch wood screws and no pilot holes. Very low risk of this splitting. I've got these 2 pieces of scrap that I'm going to use to hold up the shelf with. So I went on ahead and marked the spaces where the two 2x4s are. And what I'll do now is create some pilot holes with countersink bits, because this is 3/4 inch. To prevent it from splitting, I gotta put pilot holes in it. I cut out 2 pieces of scrap wood to lay my little cross brace on, and that right there is 14 inches high. So I marked and made my measurements for the top shelf. Now I'm going to cut it down to size. I've got the 2 side supports for the shelf on either side. Now I'm going to put one across the back. And this shelf doesn't have to hold a lot of weight, but I do want to be able to support some stuff on it. So in order to do that, I need to take a piece of wood and put it on this back side, and then screw it from the back in to hold it up. That way it has some support there. Before that, I'm going to use a piece of this. I believe this is it's a 1x4. So it's 3/4 inches thick and 3.5 inches across this way. Alright, this is going to be tricky. I 3-screwed in the screws. Now I can hold it in place. Alright y'all, I'm losing daylight really quick here, so I'm going to explain to you what I'm going to do. Then I'm going to go ahead and do it to get it done. And then I'm going to come back tomorrow, sand and paint. And the doors. Still got to figure out the doors. So I need to go get some wood for the doors. I'll do that tonight. Alright. Drilling my countersink holes here. There's not going to be any support here down this middle. I'm hoping that it being screwed on the back and the side, that would be enough to support this. There's not going to be anything heavy up here. So I'm going to continue on and do that. Then after that, I'm going to cut my plywood, and it's going to go in between here, flat against this board and that one on the bottom. I was going to do it along the outside to make life easier for myself, but my wood is not wide enough front to back, so I'm going to do it that way, and then I'll be done with that part. And then all I got to do is make the doors and get some door hardware on there. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and do this, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.